One people, it's your boy Mo, back with another video. Today we're doing a breakdown. I'm going to break down some game footage, so they're going to probably copyright strike me. So please subscribe to this video to support the channel because... Subscribe to the channel to support the channel because I don't make no bread from this. And I'm putting effort and hours into this, delivering you at least 5 videos a week now. That's my goal, that's what I'm aiming for. Last week we had 6, this week we're on track again. So subscribe now, let's get into it. Have you ever seen an album or a mixtape come out and thought, nah, I'm not really trying to hear that, but then you look at the track listing and you see the features and you're like, maybe this could slap, and then you listen to it and it actually bangs? Well, my take on the Chicago Bulls kind of went like that. At first, when they signed DeRozan, I thought, you know, they've got Zach LaVine, how's this really going to go? Is LaVine just going to leave next year, whatever. But now, I'm looking at the pieces they've acquired and I'm thinking, they could really put something together here. So I'm in the phase where I've added it to my playlist. To listen to it, we're gonna have to wait for the season to start to see if it really bangs off, and we're gonna be bumping that Chicago Bulls in the speakers. But for now, all I can do is break it down for you guys. So I'm gonna show you what DeMar DeRozan is adding to the Chicago Bulls, because I know, unless you're a complete nerd like me who stays up till the early hours watching every NBA game possible, most of you guys probably haven't paid attention to DeMar DeRozan since he was with the Toronto Raptors. And let me tell you one thing, the DeMar DeRozan that plays for the San Antonio Spurs is a long way away from the man that we used to call DeMar DeFrozen, who would choke up in the fourth quarter and then get sunned by LeBron in the playoffs. Fair play to him. He's made strides in his game. Now, we all know the Spurs have a great system and a great coach, but let's talk about DeMar DeRozan for a second here. So I read a stat that actually blew my mind. Since the 2018-2019 season, DeMar DeRozan ranks 3rd in isolation scoring efficiency. There are 104 players to log at least 200 attempts in isolation situations, and the only 2 guys ahead of DeMar DeRozan, do you know who they are? Stephen Curry and James Harden. Even the great Kevin Durant is behind DeMar DeRozan. Even Zion Williamson, the young force who has a mismatch against almost anyone who tries to guard him, is behind DeMar DeRozan. Now, why is this a factor? Because we saw DeMar DeRozan, the isolation specialist, chucking up mid-range shots back in Toronto. Why is it a factor now, I hear you asking? Well, it's because he's taking better shots. It's not that he's getting more opportunities or finding better spots to score from. He's making better decisions with the basketball. So when he gets to his spot, he's deciding to make plays for his teammates because he's such an improved playmaker and passer than he was back with the Raptors. So the increased efficiency of his scoring is a byproduct of him raising the levels of his playmaking, and that's what we're going to break down in today's video. DeMar DeRozan was number 1 in the entire NBA when it comes to assist to pass percentage last season. That's a stat which measures what percentage of a player's passes turn into points for their team. Now, typically on this list, you're gonna find a bunch of point guards or ball handlers like Luka Doncic who are gonna be up there making plays for their teammates. A few years ago, I would never have expected DeMar DeRozan to be on this list, but here he is, an improved playmaker. Last season, he recorded a career high 6.9 assists per game. Nice. And he did it with only 2 turnovers per game. He's almost doubled the amount of assists he records in a game since he was with the Toronto Raptors. Now, this is all great for DeMar DeRozan. This was all great for the San Antonio Spurs, but how does it affect the Chicago Bulls? Well, first of all, Zach LaVine often comes under fire for his lack of playmaking, and maybe DeMar DeRozan can teach him a thing or two. But there are other factors that go into it that are more important than that. First of all, the advantage of having a player like DeRozan who can score the ball themselves and make plays for teammates is great, because then you can stagger the stars in your lineup. They can afford to run DeMar DeRozan with the bench unit to help them out by making plays for those guys, the role players that come in, and give Zach LaVine some rest. And similarly, they could put a guy like Caruso maybe in for a defensive edge while Zach LaVine is on the court. They can play around with the lineups and get experimental with it. They signed Lonzo, who's another great passer, but he's fantastic in the open floor and transition. DeMar DeRozan can create for his teammates in the half court. Now, we all know Billy Donovan, the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, loves the 3-guard lineups that he used to run with. Remember back in OKC when they had CP3, Dennis Schroeder, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? We'll expect to see plenty of lineups of Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, and DeMar DeRozan. So, DeMar DeRozan in the half court, how does this affect his teammates? Well, the Bulls' biggest signing of free agency, Lonzo Ball, has developed into a fantastic spot-up 3-point shooter. He almost scored 40% of catch and shoot attempts from behind the arc over his last 2 seasons in New Orleans. He's revitalized his form. It's not the ugly slingshot no more. It's not that one. He's made a nice change to his shooting form, and if he can keep that up in Chicago, DeMar's going to find him for plenty of open looks. Also, Lonzo is a fantastic player when it comes to cutting off the ball as well. If the defender turns his head, because DeMar DeRozan takes a lot of attention from the defense, especially when he gets to his spots in the mid-range, the defender turns his head, Lonzo's going to cut straight to the hoop for a nice little bounce pass below, maybe even a lob. But speaking of lobs, that's where Zach LaVine comes in. He can now play off the ball more as well. He can be a lob threat for catching those backdoor cuts, or he can catch and shoot 3-pointers, or he can simply come off screens and attack off the dribble. Because when you take the ball out of his hands, and without him having to do so much on the offensive end, he can become more efficient. We've all seen the improvement in Devin Booker's game down in Phoenix when they brought in first Ricky Rubio and now Chris Paul, a true point guard, a true playmaker that can help run the offense and allow the scorer, the 2 guard, that man there, to get to his spots and score the basketball. Now, it's all well and good talking about these things in theory, but in the words of DJ Khaled, I can show you better than I could tell you. So I'm going to show you. Some footage of DeMar DeRozan putting up his season high in assists. Yes, it was against the Boston Celtics. Don't get onto me because we still won the game. But he put up 30 points and 14 assists. So I'm going to break those down for you and show you just how he can create for his teammates and how that can apply to the new look Chicago Bulls. Okay, so we're going to look at the game footage right now from that DeRozan performance. Here's clip number 1. You can see he catches the ball and he attacks into the paint. He draws the defense in. Fournier helps across from the nail. Look how low he keeps the ball in order to not have it stolen. Also, you can see a great cut by Poeltl come into the bucket. So as Rob Williams has to come across and help on DeRozan, Marcus Smart has to help on Poeltl, which means DeRozan can kick the ball out to either Vassell or Murray, who are both outside on the wings or in the corner. He hits Murray because it's a longer distance for a defender to close out to, and he rises up to knock down that shot. You can see him in the corner. Tatum is swiping at the ball. DeRozan does slightly lose his handle, but he keeps his cool. He decides to recover the ball. Now, coaches usually tell you to never leave your feet when you're making a pass, but in certain desperate situations you have to. And what I love here is he's able to loft the ball with enough arc to reach perfectly into Patty Mills' shooting pocket over the defender who's jumping to try and get it. Patty Mills, he's not going to miss that. Brooklyn have got a great addition this season. That's not going to be the last time you hear me say that. As you can see here, you can get a high screen and roll action going with DeRozan. That could easily be Vucevic. He decides not to use the screen fully. Instead, he attacks the paint, commits Tristan Thompson, the big man defender, because he has to help on Fournier's man, and leaves the big man open. You can imagine this being Vucevic easily finishing, coming down the lane for an easy bucket. Right here, what I want to focus on is Patty Mills contests the shot, but he continues running on the closeout. He leaks out on the fast break. DeMar DeRozan right here sees this, so as soon as the rebound comes down, he doesn't even think. He catches the ball and instantly turns his body to fire it full court. A perfectly placed pass for Patty Mills to lay the ball in, and one. DeRozan knew before he even got the rebound where the ball needed to go. Here, another screen roll action. He gets inside to the free throw line, extended, and makes the simple pass over to Rudy Gay, who makes a tough shot. That's not an amazing assist. That was more of a great shot from Rudy Gay, but it's good from DeMar DeRozan that he's not just settling for that pull-up himself. He's making the pass to his teammates. Here, you can see him attacking in transition, but he does make the right read, and he gets the ball to his teammate nice and early. Some players have a tendency to hold on to the ball too long in transition situations. The ball moves faster than you can dribble. Always want to keep moving that and get the passes out early. In this clip here, they fake the screen and roll a little go screen action. He drives in, and once again, there's 3 defenders collapsing on him. When he gets to that elbow area, they know how lethal he is. You can see once again, he's got the ball solo with 2 hands on it to avoid anyone swiping at it. He gets inside to his spot. 2 defenders are now committed. He gives the beautiful behind the back pass to the big man. Without even looking, he knows where his teammate's going to be. Vucevic is going to be eating happily in the paint down low if defenses come across to double on the penetration from DeMar DeRozan. Coming to this clip again, the smaller guard sets the screen. He attacks on the inside, and once again in the paint around the free throw line area, they think he's going to elevate for a shot, so 2 defenders come to him. He instead makes another pass out of the air, which isn't amazing, but it works amazingly for DeMar DeRozan. That one wasn't too much of a dime, he got lucky on the stat sheet that they gave that to him, but it was still the right pass to make, and it still could have ended in a turnover if he didn't make that play correctly. Here, he misses the mid-range jump shot, but he gets the offensive rebound, and he reads the defense so quickly. He can see both Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, their attention on him. He can see Evan Fournier's attention is on him. Rob Williams' attention is on him, and so he can see his teammate leaking to the corner. He makes that pass right on time, right on cue, and it's a knockdown for his teammate. Here he gets into the middle again. Now, DeMar DeRozan, typically, right now where I've frozen it, you would expect this to be a bucket, or at least a bucket attempt. He's got 2 defenders on him in the paint, but he's got confidence, so you know he's going to be shooting that. But now, the more mature, the more refined, the more experienced DeMar DeRozan, he makes the play to his teammate. A bit of a wild pass, but Johnson hits the pump fake, and then off the dribble, knocks it down. This possession again in transition, he's pushing the pace and he makes a nice timely pass to his teammate in the corner. He does a great job of taking care of the ball. As I mentioned earlier, he's limiting his turnovers and increasing his assists. Here in the half-court set, time's ticking down, it's a tied game. Got to make a great play in this situation. He sees the double coming. As soon as he sees the double coming, he injects a burst of pace. So he attacks downhill. So now he's got 2 defenders on him, but the defense is going to have to scramble a little bit because he can see where the open options are. You can see that there's 2 defenders in the paint, 2 defenders on DeMar, and Tatum, who's not looking at where his man is. Tatum's head is turned to see what DeMar DeRozan does. So his man cuts to the bucket right underneath JT. You're sleeping, my brother. Can't catch you sleeping like that next season. But he finds his teammate under the bucket. So when I talked about Lonzo Ball or Zach LaVine being able to cut off the ball and find lobs or easy opportunities, look out for stuff like that along the baseline. Right here again, he attacks 2 defenders on him, and as soon as he sees the defenders miscommunicating and not switching and instead 2 being caught there, he can also see Jaylen Brown trying to get into the passing lane. So he throws a slight fake, throws the pass over the top of Jaylen Brown. This one again, I don't know if it's really an assist, but it's just a really nice pass that he made to Murray. And right here, time's ticking down on the clock. This one's not really serious, but he makes the pass to Patty Mills instead of going hero ball. Patty Mills, again, a fantastic addition to the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to be super, super happy with what they've got. But DeMar DeRozan, the playmaker, if he was still the same player he was back with the Raptors, I'd say about half of those passes there would have been turnovers, and a few of them would have been shot attempts. But instead, he managed to generate 14 buckets that I showed you in that clip for his team to go along with the 30 points he scored himself. I can see why the Chicago Bulls have paid him. Like I said in my previous video about the Knicks, for every team, it's not about winning a championship. It's about establishing a culture and showing your players that you want to compete. Getting the right pieces in that are available and showing Zach LaVine, hey, listen, we're trying to build something here. We're trying to be more competitive. We traded picks for Vucevic to bring you another all-star. Here we've got another guy who's been an all-star in this league. He's experienced as well. Patrick Williams as well. I'm really excited to see his development. And the other factor that we got to talk about real quick with Nikola Vucevic is that with Caruso and Lonzo Ball, 2 great defenders at the guard position now, they're not going to be funneling men into the paint to try and score. He's going to have a little bit of an easier role anchoring that defense because players aren't going to be able to penetrate quite as easily. And on the offensive side, Vucevic is also another player who can make plays operating out of the elbow. So not only is the pick and roll and pick and pop going to be exciting with DeRozan and Lonzo and Zach LaVine, Vucevic can make plays for those guys as well. So the Chicago Bulls have got a lot of pieces to play with in terms of offensively. They've got Lonzo, LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, who are all elite. Pat Williams is coming along nicely. And then off the bench, they've got Alex Caruso and Kobe White, who can play that 6th man role. They've got to do a little bit more shoring up of the roster if they really want to be serious about competing. But I love what they've done, and I love what DeMar DeRozan can add to the Chicago Bulls squad. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. It will help me out loads. We're on the road to 4K. We're trying to get 4,000 subscribers. Help me out. Let's try and get 4K by the end of the month. Let's go, gang. Appreciate you. Until next time, I'll catch you soon, but get buckets.